run deep, and every Sunday is a battle. I'm your man, Will McCann, and along with my partner, Tellis Everett, we're a couple of fans from the heart of the Midwest, bringing you real talk and weekly breakdowns from the NFC North, the Black and Blue Division. So whether you wear green and gold, Honolulu blue, purple and gold, or you rep the monsters of the Midway, you are in the right place. So lace up, strap in, and let's talk black and blue. Tell us, my man, what is up?
What's going on, Will McCann? Hey, friends and kinfolk, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you for supporting the Black and Blue podcast. Tell all your football friends how much fun we have over here. Just a quick reminder, Will and I are real estate agents in the state of Michigan. So if you know anybody that's talking about buying, selling, or investing, hit us up for a winning game plan in real estate. Let's get after it.
Hey, let's get it, my man. Yes, we're going to do today. We're going to wrap up the history of all the teams in the NFC North by putting together our all-time team for the NFC North, starting with the coach. We went through till we talked about each franchise, who were the top coaches for each franchise. But overall, in the NFC North, in the black and blue division, who do you think was the best coach of all time?
Yeah, it's a close race for me. I got Vince Lombardi and George Halas. I don't know where I
Gotta
fall on.
have both of them on the list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I just don't know where I fall on and also Bud Grant. You gotta have him.
gotta
Gotta
show
include
Bud
him.
some love, man. You gotta show he won the NFC. His teams won the NFC Championship game 4 times. Um, yeah, you gotta show Bud some love.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really tight. I'm leaning George Halas just because of the championships that he has. I know that Vince Lombardi is
The
probably a
trophy's
goated.
named after him, right? The
Right,
trophy's
right,
named
right.
after him.
Right. But we talked about this before. His importance to the league
Yeah,
itself, right?
yeah,
Not so
yeah,
much the
yeah, yeah,
importance
yes.
to the team. Well, yes, the team, but I'm leaning more towards Hallis. So that's where I'm at. And it's
It,
odd because, the Bears don't have a lot going.
Right, right, right. It is so funny, man. It's hilarious to me because, dude, you just left Curly. You man, I can't believe you disrespected Curly Lambeau like that. When you start to, I'm sure I'm going to hear Curly Lambeau in this discussion, right? He's
Right,
a
right.
foundational member of the NFL also, the Green Bay Packers, why they're called Title Town, right? They've had two of the greatest coaches this league has seen. And it's interesting that our reasoning is different. I take that back. The candidates were different, but our reasoning for choosing the guy was exactly the same, right? I chose Papa Bear also for all of the same reasons, right? What he meant to the establishment of the league, right? For him to be owner and coach of the team for so long, for him to have coached into the late 70s, man, just
Right.
says a lot about who he was as a coach. Like you said, he did have the championships. He's got the pelts on the wall too, right?
Hmm.
He isn't a guy who just coached for a long time. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I think Papa Bear Hallis uh, is the greatest coach in the history of the NFC North.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Now it's going to be interesting
So,
when we talk about the the all-time team or your favorite team, I think.
yeah, I was just about to say let's talk about the team, the greatest who we think is the greatest team all time in the NFC North. Just single season, what was the best team the NFC North ever had?
Yeah. For me, it's that 96 Green Bay Packers. Just just a powerhouse, a modern powerhouse and what they were able to deliver. The record was 13-3. They were the number one offense, the number one defense, and number one special teams that year. So yeah, I mean MVP of the year was Brent Favre. They had the Minister of Defense, right, with Reggie White
Yes,
and all that kind of
yes,
stuff.
yes.
For me, if I'm picking a single season team,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's the 1996 Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, and as I was thinking of this, both coach and team, I had a feeling we'd have the same group of teams because
Mhm.
there's just only so many, right, who have been
Right.
great and impactful. So I figured we'd have the same list, and they are on my list. But I had that team third.
All right, you got to bring the
The
analysis.
battle for me came down to, and you can probably guess at least one of the other teams would be the '85 Bears.
Yeah,
And you're right, the '96 Packers. What made them so special is, like you said, they were the number one team both offensively and defensively, right?
yep,
But that '85 Bears team was so dominant. They were so much better than everybody else defensively that it made that team special to me. And they were slightly above average on offense. They were definitely good enough on offense to service that defense, if you will, or to support that defense would be a better word, to
right.
help them dominate the way they did. And the other team for me, and I got to go old school, Super Bowl won the 1966 Green Bay Packers was the other team. That team won the last NFL championship game the year before, and they won Super Bowl two the next year. But that team that won Super Bowl one was a dominant team. And I thought they deserved some love. So really, it came down to me between the '66 Packers and the '85 Bears. And I was definitely got mad love for the '96 Packers. Um, I can even be persuaded for recency bias.
Well,
For
let me just
recency bias alone, because you make a great point about the Packers. They were so much better offensively than that Bears team was. Now the Bears were better than them defensively,
right,
but were they better was that distance, if you were ranking the two, is the distance between the Bears and Packers defensively greater than the distance between those two teams offensively? And I'd have to say no to that.
really,
Which would lean me towards maybe the '96 Packers is the better team because of the offense that team had.
right? Because I was about to counterpoint you with the fact that you said Jim McMahon was a game manager.
Yeah. A game manager versus an MVP is
Exactly,
definitely two different discussions at the
exactly,
base position, right? So
right,
yeah, like I said, you make that point. I can be persuaded based on that point, giving it some thought. Even though, like I said, I was leaning heavily toward the '85 Bears, even though I got mad love for that '66 Packers team too, man.
yeah. And I see what you're doing. You're trying to go Bears back to back on this with the coach and the team. Come on, man, you can't do that. We're in the D.
So they both don't get no run like that, right? I hear you. I hear you. So, like I said, man, I can be. You've sold me on the '96 Packers
Right,
being
right.
the all-time team in the NFC North. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you sold yourself. I just had to point out that you had a game manager versus a.
Yeah. that offense was led by a guy. Was he even the all-time quarterback on the Bears team?
No, he wasn't. We went with Sid.
Right. That's which further supports your point.
Right.
All right, my man. Well, let's get to it. Let's
Uh,
talk about the all-time NFC North team. Get after it here. Let me bring up a graphic here to show. We'll just keep it on the screen here, and we will
Yeah.
build it live. All right, and you can see that, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's start with the offense, man. Let's start with wide receiver. And just to quickly give folks a reminder on some of the people we had, Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson, Herman Moy, James Lofton, Sterling Sharp, Willie Gall, Matt Forte.
Right.
I,
Right.
I had to do that to the Bears.
Uh,
So, who would be your two all-time wide receivers for the NFC North?
my two all-time, Randy Moss, Calvin Johnson. Those are my two all-time. Chris Carter makes it as a third if we're bringing in a third, but my top two, Randy Moss and Calvin Johnson. Do we
Uh,
need to go over the facts or what?
I'm going to know. We're going to need to.
Because I see you have Calvin Johnson up there, but you don't have Randy Moss.
Which means I'm in agreement with you on one.
Well, let's do this. Give me the other person that you have that's not Calvin
You
Johnson.
said it, Chris Carter. My
Chris
other
Carter.
one would
Okay.
be Chris Carter.
All right.
I
All
would,
right.
in between the two, I would take Chris over Randy.
Okay.
And
And the reason why.
the reason why I think Chris Carter, along with, and I can't say second to, better than, but along with, um, uh, lost my man's name, San Francisco. Um, the San Francisco receiver,
Jerry Rice.
Jerry Rice. I can't believe I lost my man's name. Like Jerry Rice. Along with Jerry Rice, Chris Carter has the best hands I have ever seen. And Chris Carter was fast. Chris Carter ran the entire route tree. I think Randy's um, elite level came with the top of the routes, the top of the tree routes, right? Seven,
Mhm.
8, 9 routes were his best routes, right? Chris was just more versatile, man. He could be a flanker as well as a split end. I think Calvin could as well. Randy may have been good on reverses, but I don't think he ran, the flat routes and the intermediate routes as well as Chris did. And I don't think he caught the ball in the middle of the field as well as those two guys did. I think he was better at the top of the route than both of them.
Mhm.
But I
Mhm.
think both of them had a little bit more versatility to their game than Randy.
I can see where you're going with that because Chris Carter was elite in the red zone. Like he was a technician, right? And I
You
think
know, all Chris, go
that's
ahead.
what you're saying is that he was a technician.
Yeah.
He
All
could
Chris, go ahead.
he could run all those routes,
Yeah.
but especially inside the red zone, he was gonna tear you apart. So
He was
I can see
nasty. He
that.
was
Yeah.
nasty in the red zone. Yeah, I was so anxious to say when you said that it brought to my memory Buddy Ryan once said about him, all Chris Carter can do is catch touchdowns. And people were like, "What? Wait, that is that all? What more do you want the guy to do?" Now I understood what he really meant. That was one of those Yogi Berra type of statements. Meaning
Right.
at the time he couldn't run any other routes. He was only good in the red zone. But Chris certainly showed he had more versatility than that throughout his career, and his hands were nasty. So to me, I had Chris Carter over Randy Moss as the
Okay.
top receiver.
All right. I support that.
Tight end. Let's talk about tight end. Who did you have as your tight end,
Look,
as the all-time tight end in this division?
it's got to be Mike Ditka. Yeah. there can't be anybody else for me.
Not Charlie Sanders?
No, I mean he's my second,
Not Steve Jordan?
not Steve Jordan. But yeah, Mike Ditka.
Yo,
First,
man, why you do that to Steve, man? Why you
look, the thing about Mike Ditka, if you're young and you don't know what's going on and you haven't done your history and that type of thing, first dominant receiving tight end in the history of the NFL.
Yes, yes,
That's all we gotta say.
yes. He is
Before him, that was before him, the tight end position was a blocking position.
he was a tackle.
You were a tackle.
He was the third tackle, is what
You
he
were
was.
the third tackle. Exactly. So he revolutionized the position. So all these cats that are out here today talking about tight end university, it started with Mike Ditka.
It started with Mike Ditka. Mike Ditka is still the prototypical tight end. When you say I want a tight end, the guy you want is Mike Ditka. Now,
Yeah,
modern day people, for the modern day folks out there, Gronk would be the only comparison to Ditka. Ditka was a smaller version. He wasn't quite as tall and as big as Gronk, but he played the game the exact same way, man.
right.
That nasty, fearless, physical, and could get down the field and catch the football and impacted the passing game. Yes, it's Mike Dick all the way.
That's right. And Charlie Sanders, I don't have anything against Charlie Sanders. He just doesn't have the impact, the historical impact that Mike Ditka had.
No, no, no.
Yeah,
Yeah, he wasn't quite at that level. He was good. Ditka was just at a different level. All right, so let's talk about the offensive line, starting with the tackle position. So, who would be your two tackles as the all-time offensive lineman in this league?
so
In this division, I'm
I'm
sorry.
gonna throw out my two names,
Okay.
and I will defer to you because you're the big guy. I'm out here on the wing out here, but I'm going left tackle Ron Yeary, right
Okay.
tackle Forrest Gregg.
All right, well, we're in agreement there. Those would be the two that I would choose also.
Okay.
I wanted to show Lomas Brown some love so bad, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And maybe if Lomas had played on a few better teams, he could have snuck in here also. But it was the competition was just so tough, man.
right.
Yeah, Jimbo Covert, I think, was a consideration also, even though I think Lomas was closer to those two than Jimbo was. But yeah, I would agree with you. Ron Yeri and Forrest Gregg.
Mm-hmm. Ron Yeary, seven-time first team All-Pro, six-time Pro Bowler, Hall of Fame anchor for the Vikings. And Forrest Gregg, nine Pro Bowl appearances, five All-Pro, and was a key piece for the Lombardi era for that dynasty. So,
Both of them key figures in the run game, uh,
right.
and winning teams, right? And
Yep.
teams that were consistently playing in and winning big games. All right, let's talk about the guards. Who would be the guards on your all-time NFC North team?
So I went, and it's kind of interesting, and I'll bring this back around once we settle on what we're doing with the line. But
Mm-hmm.
I have some thoughts. Randall McDaniel at my left guard, and then Steve Hutchinson at right guard. That's where I was at.
Okay. Uh, um, I if Hutch had played his entire career with Minnesota, I think I could support that more.
Hmm.
But to me, Jerry Kramer, having played his entire career with the Packers, I just think had more impact in the division than Hutch did. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you're right. Hutch was definitely the third best guard in this division. But the reason I gave Kramer the nod was those 5 years that Hutch played in Seattle. Right. So,
Okay.
yeah, I gave the nod to Jerry Kramer.
I like that. I like that. So my thought that I'm coming back to is as we're building this team,
Mm-hmm.
you look at the players closest to the ball,
Yeah.
this offensive line, they're all Vikings and Packers.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So,
I'm not surprised by the Packers, but I'm surprised by the Vikings.
and I'm not, having, grown up in the 70s and saw all those great teams, right? And then having seen them through the 80s and 90s become more, uh, for lack of a better term, ordinary, if you will, where they're not in the playoffs every year. Maybe they're in one out of every 3 years.
Hmm.
And not like the Lions, where they're in one out of every 5 to 7 years, right?
Right.
So, yeah, they kind of went through a stretch where they weren't as good as they were in the 60s and 70s. But, yeah, so because of that, they have a tradition of winning.
Yeah.
So, which is why their fans hurt so deeply when they don't.
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it does not surprise me at all because if you think about the 90s and the 2000s, it's been the Packers who've had the better teams and the Vikings battling them, right? Uh,
Mhm.
and like I said, I thought the Bears' record would have been closer to what the Lions is. I think the Lions is like at one time, I don't know if they still are, was the all-time losingest team in the Super Bowl era. And I said, why are the Lions catching such flack? The Bears are actually close to it being as bad as the Lions, all the bad Bears teams I remember. But I look
Right.
at the record, and the Bears actually had a winning record during that time, which
Yeah.
surprised me. So, yeah, I am surprised we don't see more Bears there, but I'm not surprised that we see a lot of Vikings and Packers,
Right. Right.
which takes us to the center.
You laugh because I'm going with Mick Tanglehoff.
Yeah. It was either going to be Mick or Jim Ringo, right?
Right. Minnesota Vikings, Mick Tanglehoff.
Right. It was going to be one of those two, man. I'm with you. I'm with my man, Mick Tinglehoff, man.
The the single most impressive thing for me about this individual is that he played 17 seasons and never missed a game
At center, dude.
at center.
At center. He ain't a guy who could take plays off at all. This dude snapped the ball every single play for 17 seasons. Yes, just
Right.
a workhorse. Yeah, him and Ed White. We talked about Ed White. He didn't make the Packers all-time team. And Ryan Yeri. Those guys on the offensive line is what drove that team in front of Fran Tarkenton.
Hmm.
So yeah, I like that offensive line, man. Yes, yes, yes. But yeah, I had to laugh, man, because yeah, it was gonna be a Packer or a Viking there
Exactly.
once again, right? Not a
Exactly.
bear or lion in that discussion. Now let's bring the Lions back into discussion and talk about running backs.
There you
Let's
go,
bring the
right?
Lions and Bears back into the discussion.
Exactly. Exactly.
Talking about running back.
So the issue is that the Vikings, right, and the Packers have these outstanding linemen,
Yes.
but we're about to put two legends of the game
Do I need to
at
even?
at running back,
Uh,
and neither one of them played for the Packers or the Vikings.
Neither one of them played behind a great offensive line.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So
Even
Walter
though
Payton.
I think the line that played in front of Barry is maligned. I
Mhm.
think they were better than people say they are, but I agree. They did not play with the line as good as either line in Minnesota or Green Bay have ever had, right?
Right, right.
That is an interesting point. I hadn't even thought of that.
It's insane, right?
The
But
only,
I
go
will
ahead.
give them I will give Minnesota credit because Adrian
Yes,
Peterson, if he's in a different division,
yes,
he makes the top two, I
yeah,
think,
I agree. I
in
agree.
a different division. But Walter Payton and Barry Sanders, yeah,
And
those are
I want to show Chuck Foreman some love also, even
right,
though he's not at this level, right? Chuck
right.
was a great player in his day, right? But yeah, I agree with you. Had Peterson been in another division, he'd be in the top two. It would be hard to keep Adrian Peterson out of the top two.
Yes, exactly.
All right, brings us to the key position in all of football. Somebody said, I heard say this week in all of sports, and that's the quarterback position. And who is
Okay.
your all-time quarterback?
My NFC North all-time quarterback. And I preface this by saying my NFC North all-time quarterback,
I
right?
know. You don't even have to tell me. I know where you're going on.
This individual revolutionized the quarterback position by becoming a dual threat. And this is what we see in modern football today for quarterbacks. If you're not a dual threat quarterback, you are hampering your team in modern football today.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
And it's kind of surprising that he had to be a mobile quarterback behind an offensive line
Yeah.
that has some dogs on it. But
Right,
my
right.
NFC North all-time quarterback is Fran Tarkenton.
I support that 100%. Uh, I didn't know that's where you were going.
No? Where'd you think
No,
it
no. When you started talking, when you said you prefaced it by saying all-time NFC North, I thought you were going to try to sneak Favre back in with all of his accomplishments. You didn't want Favre to be the all-time Packers quarterback because that would have been too low of a bar for your man. Love to keep.
exactly?
But as far as all-time NFC North, now that's a little higher bar for him.
I see
I
what you
thought you were
said.
going to try to sneak Favre back in.
Uh, I couldn't because that puts Jordan too close to being all-time.
So yeah, I for me it came down to either Tarkington or Starr, and like you said, Tarkington was so far ahead of his time, right?
Right.
And is what teams today are looking for a mobile quarterback, not necessarily a running quarterback, but
Hmm.
a mobile quarterback who's able to run and get two or three first downs a game and to elude the rush to extend the play if necessary. Yes, I would agree with you. So
Right.
Fran Tarkington, so that's the offense. Calvin Johnson, Chris Carter. Well, we'll come back. We'll wrap up at the end. Let's talk about the defense, starting with defensive end. Who do you have on your defensive end list here, other than Carl Eller?
uh,
I had to mention Carl's name again, man. I'm still a little salty about that, but for the purpose of recency bias, I'm gonna try to let that go.
see, see. So my defensive ends, edge rushers, or yeah, I got Reggie White and Richard Dent.
Surprisingly, we landed on the same two.
Okay.
Um, I thought you might go with you try to get one of the Vikings guys on here, either Dolman or Jared Allen. Um, I thought you might end up trying to go with one of them over Richard Dent. But yeah, I agree with you. Those are the two I had also.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Dolman and Jared Allen definitely um, are in that same discussion.
Hmm.
Those guys were just difference makers as pass rushers. But again, the reason I went with these two over those two is because I consider both of those two more edge rusher than defensive ends. Where I
Right.
think these guys are true defensive ends. Now, both of them, both Jared Allen and Chris Dolman, probably aren't too happy with me saying that about them. I've yet to see a great pass rusher, a true great pass rusher, who says I can't play the run. They'll tell you
Mhm.
I'll play that run too. But I think those guys held up on the edge in the run game better than Dolman and Jared Allen did.
Right, right, right.
All right, so let's talk about those interior linemen, the big nasties close to the ball. Who do you have on your team there?
I went with John Randall and Steve McMichael. Both are giving you power and penetration, so I see we might have a little discussion here.
Ooh, yeah, I John Randall for sure, man. Definitely one of the all-time interior players who could both plug the run and get after the quarterback. You know, really
Hmm.
impacting the pass game. But for me, and it may be a little bit unfair because we had him listed on the all-time Bears team as a defensive end. But I think Dan Hampton was a slightly better player than McMichael, even though McMichael is or was a true defensive tackle. Hampton and his ability to slide inside really drove that 46 Buddy Ryan defense, man. So um, I don't know. They're both Hall of Famers. Um, I could be persuaded with McMichael because he is a true tackle. And if you're thinking about Randall and uh, should I just say his name?
Hampton.
Hampton are really, they were the same style of player, right? Uh,
Right.
Tackles who could play a five technique and play on the end. So yeah, I'm going to go with you, and I'm going to go with Steve McMichael.
I mean, he was a key player in one of the greatest defenses ever
Yes, he was.
in
Yes,
the
he was.
85 on the
I'm
85
not, yeah,
Bears.
I'm not saying McMichael was a bum. Like I said, he is a Hall of Famer, and I think he should have been in a while ago, even though Hampton has been in longer. But
Hmm.
like I said, Hampton is more of an in. When I think of Hampton, I think of, for those of you who never saw Dan Hampton, if you think of J.J. Watt, that's who Dan Hampton was. All right, so let's talk about linebackers. Who are your all-time linebackers in this division?
Linebackers was tough.
Linebacker was really tough. I agree
It
with you. It
was.
was really tough.
It was really tough because there's some really great linebackers in the NFC.
All timers, man.
Right.
All timers.
So I landed with Dick Butkus, Brian Urlacher, and Ray Nitschke. I see the smile on your face, and we only got one name on the board.
Oh, I agree with you. Okay, I definitely agree with you on Nitschke, man.
So the way I kind of broke it, let me explain it. So the way I
Okay,
broke it down was I'm building a team. So I
yeah,
got my mic, I got my weak side, and I got my strong side.
yeah,
That's how
yeah.
I approached it.
I
Okay.
agree with you. I
So
agree with you. Okay, all right. So here's the thing, though. Erlacher, Butkus, Nitschke were all mics. I mean, yeah, they were all mics.
they were, but I'm moving them around a little bit. I'm
And I'm with you. I ain't mad at that at all, right? I support that. I agree with you.
trying.
All right, but okay, and I will say this. I will say this. Who are you moving around and tell me where you're moving them to? We're going to come to some consensus here. Who are you moving around and where are you moving them to? Who's your mic?
Uh,
Who's the mic in this? Who's
my
your
mic
mic?
is my mic is Buckus.
Your mic would be Butkus over Erlacher.
Yes,
Your mic
because I'm
would
making
be your
I'm
mic would
making
be Butkus over Nitschke.
yes.
All right, so I'm gonna go with Butkus then. Uh-oh. He does have a first name. All right. All right. Like I said, we're gonna come to some consensus here. And I have to say this. Dave Robinson is the best will to ever play in this division.
Uh-huh.
So when you break it down like that, I can't choose Dave Robinson as a will over, I mean, I can't choose Erlacher as a will over Dave Robinson. I can't choose either of those three as a will over Dave Robinson. I get you can probably get either of the three to be the Sam for you, but none
Could
of them are better than Robinson was as a will.
could you pick Mike Singletary as a will?
No. Singletary would be in the discussion as the Mike in this defense.
Nah, he
Uh,
doesn't make it. I love my man with the helmet and the little eyes and the intensity, but nah, nah, nah.
I could even go with, you know, it's like this was tough. This was tough for me, man.
I mean, I'm good with Dave Robinson. I mean,
Um,
legendary, legendary.
it's but see, I could see Robinson and Erlacher over Nitschke.
That's kind of tough, though, man.
Right? I hear you, but I
It
could.
was, it was, it was. This was a tough one, right? The thing about Nishiki for me is that it's back to the Lombardi era, right? When you're talking about the development and kind of the prototypes of football positions
Yes,
that are being developed,
yes,
he becomes the prototype for the physical linebacker,
yes.
right? So you need an enforcer. Like if I need an enforcer, that's what I'm thinking about.
That yeah, I agree with that. But Butkus and Nitschke were the nastiest of all of them, right? Just physical and nasty. I
Yeah,
would agree with you on that.
but they don't get there without Nishiki.
I agree with you. Those Packers teams, the defense on those teams, him in the middle of that defense, yes, I agree with you. Him being nasty, coming downhill in the run game and
Mhm.
floating back and impacting the pass games. Yeah, tight ends didn't catch a lot of passes against the Packers.
So We got two Packer linebackers here.
Two Packers and a Bear.
Oh, this is so much fun.
All right. Let's go to the defensive backfield. Excuse
Man,
me. And cornerback.
man.
Who do you have as your corners?
Again, just tough decisions. There's some legends out there that I'm leaving out.
Oh,
Um, just man, just really, really difficult. So
yeah.
I'm going with Charles Woodson
Mm,
and Lem Barney. Sorry, Peanut.
yeah. Yeah, we landed on the same two there. And I
Okay.
agree with you, man. I had a tough time with those. Um, Leaving Herb Adderley off the list
Right.
really hurt me, man. Peanut, like there is a football fundamental they teach now that
Right.
is named after this guy, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and Herb, yeah, hard for me to leave Herb Adderley off the list too, man. So yeah, it was hard for me, but yeah, I come down to the same two. And then the two in Minnesota, Bobby Bryant and Antoine Winfield, were
Hmm.
players also, man. But yeah, I land on the same two, Charles Woodson and Lombardi.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so let's round out the defense and talk about safety. Who do you think are the best safeties all time in this
I'm
league?
going with Willie Wood and Paul Caruso.
Paul Krause,
Paul Krause, yes.
and I agree with you. I got the same too.
Yep. Yep. Just Willie Wood, man. Just 48 interceptions,
Yes, yes.
eight Pro Bowls, five All Pros. Just I don't know what you can say about that. And Paul, you just a pure center field eraser. Like
He was. Yeah,
81
that guy in
interceptions.
center field, man, was just yes. He found the football, and a lot
Right.
of those NFC Championship games that they won, the Cowboys could never throw deep against them because
Hmm.
Paul Krause was always in the middle of the field, impacting the deep pass. They could never get the ball deep. Yeah, one of the great. And then Willie Wood, man, just a legend, legendary Packer player in the back end, in the middle of the field, right? Uh,
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
yeah, so there you have it. Our all-time the Black and Blue podcast, the Talking Black and Blue podcast, all-time NFC North team on offense. At wide receiver, we have Calvin Johnson and Chris Carter. At tight end, Mike Ditka. The tackles, Ron Yeri and Forrest Gregg. The guards, Randall McDaniel and Jerry Kramer. The center, also the captain of my all-name team, Mick Tingelhoff. At running back, Walter Payton and Barry Sanders. At quarterback, Francis Tarkington. On the defense, the Minister of Defense, Reggie White. And the other defensive end, Richard Dent. The tackles on the inside, John Randall and Steve McMichael. The linebackers, you're not running the ball, you're not throwing the ball against this group. Ray Nitschke, Dick Butkus, and Dave Robinson. Just nasty. And on the back end, at the corners, we've got Charles Woodson and Lem Barney. And at safety, Willie Wood and the legendary Paul Krause. So there
Right.
you have it. Our
Yeah.
NFC North all-time team.
Now, if you were to do this same exercise with other divisions, the NFC North division would probably, if you're competing, would probably be like 5-1.
Um, Other divisions can put together good teams, but
They can,
the
but
defense, this defense,
that's what I'm saying. This defense is crazy. It's crazy.
yeah, Yeah,
And then
these
add
days.
let me add one more thing.
Yes.
Your kick returner,
I meant
Devin
to ask you about that.
Devin Hester,
Is yeah,
right?
and other divisions can't compete, right?
No,
It's
because
Devin Hester, right?
right.
And you know what? We when we did the Lions, I didn't even did we even talk about Mel Gray?
No,
Somebody just broke Mel Gray's record for all-time return yardage. So Mel Gray was one of the great returners in this division also. But yeah, Devin Hester, man. Yeah, this
right.
the all-time team in this division. Yeah, it could if they played all the other divisions, they'd make the playoffs, right? They'd be a one seed.
Yeah. I said 5-1. I'll be nice and say 4-2.
5-1. Yeah, somebody else might get a game somewhere, right?
They're 4-2, 4-2. Right. I think if we looked at it, the AFC North might be uh, very tough to beat.
I was just about to say the same thing. The opposite team, the team in the opposite conference, the AFC North, could put together a pretty nasty physical team also.
And maybe the NFC West.
The NFC West could put the NFC East could put together a nice team.
They could, but I don't think it would compete with this team. Not with the North.
They 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 would not be as good as the NFC West either. I would agree with
Right.
that
Right.
as a division as a whole.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could put together a good team. But you're right. No, I think the NFC North would put together. They're called the Black and Blue division for a reason,
That's right.
because traditionally they've just been nasty and physical all the time. And football is a physical game. As much as people want to take the physicality out of it. You take the physicality out of it, it's not football.
Right.
And recently, some some a few retired and some current NFL players played against the USA flag football team, the national team, right?
Hmm.
Flag football is becoming an Olympic sport. And people have been asking the question, should NFL players compete in flag football? That is a different sport. Those are not the same sports.
Right.
So, no, they cannot compete. Are there athletes who are good enough to start to train to compete? But yeah, could they? Yeah, there are probably a lot of DBs and receivers who could.
Right.
But I don't think you'll see a lot of linebackers and tight ends who can do it. A lot of defensive end, even though there are some ridiculous athletes in the NFL. It's just a different sport.
It's a different sport, and you have to think about it as a 7-on-7.
That's really all it is. I won't say all it is, but that's really what it
That's
is.
really what it is.
It's a glorified 7-on-7.
Yep. Yep.
So
For sure.
again, there's the all-time NFC North team.
It's a powerhouse right there, man.
That is that
That
is
defense is crazy.
that is a ridiculous team right there, man. Yeah, yeah. So we're gonna post this out on social media. I want some comments from folks out there. Tell us what you think. Who would you add? Who would you take off? Where do you think we missed the mark? And where do you think we got it right? I'd love to have those discussions with folks.
Yes.
All right, man. So moving forward, let's talk about next week. Next week, we're going to start our discussion on the greatest quarterbacks of all time, right? We're going to start ranking quarterbacks. We're going to figure it out a little bit over the next week or so. We're going to talk about it. And we'll bring that to you next week. But yeah, we're going to start to talk about the greatest quarterbacks of all times, and we're going to rank them in tiers. Not sure right now whether we're going to start with a low tier and work our way up to a higher tier, or just start with the best and then talk about everybody else is just an honorable mention.
Right.
But
I I like the thought of starting with a lower tier and maybe bringing a couple episodes with it. right?
Yeah, because I
Start
think we had talked
start with
about
your
a
lower
couple of different
tier,
episodes.
and then the next episode you get to the next tier, right? And just kind of, but we'll figure it out. We'll work
And
that
it'll
out.
only be guys who've played regularly, right?
Right.
So
Yeah, don't.
there won't be any Bubby Bristers or God, what was my man's name who played in the one who Russell Wilson took his job? I can't think of my man's name. He played for Green Bay, played one game at the end of the season, lit the Lions up, threw like six touchdown passes, got a huge free agent contract with Seattle. Seattle drafted Russell Wilson in the fourth round, and Russell beat him out. He never played for them. I cannot think of my man's
I
name.
can't think of his name either. Yeah.
But yeah,
Don't
so he
don't
won't
come
be
on.
on the list either.
Yeah, don't come in the comments talking about Johnny Manziel
Yeah.
and
Get, get that out of here. Yeah, looking forward to getting to that next week. All
all
right.
right.
So
Yeah.
tell us, my man, go ahead and wrap us up, sir.
Yeah, hey, we appreciate everyone hanging out with us. You know, Will and I love talking football, NFC North, and we brought this NFC all-time team to you. But when we're not, we are helping people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. If you know anybody that's looking to do any of that in the next 3 days, 3 weeks, or 3 months, hit us up. If you have questions, don't fumble the ball. Contact us about our winning game plan in real estate. Fellas, share the pie with your buddies. Ladies, share it with your crew. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't be a knucklehead. Drop us that 5-star rating.
Yeah, like Tellis said, man, we are a couple of realtors, man. We do this. This isn't something we do professionally, right? We do this because we just like chopping it up, talking about sports, talking about football, right? We're a couple of dudes sitting in the barbershop chopping it up, doing these topics, right? So we appreciate any comments anybody have, man. Like Tellis said, man, we're a couple of realtors here in Metro Detroit. I got a couple of investors I'm working with right now who are looking for some investment properties here in Metro Detroit. Excellent place for you to invest in real estate. We talk about gambling on real estate or spending your money in real estate, investing in real estate versus gambling on sports. And we're definitely here to support you on that. So, hey, we have fun doing this, man. We have fun doing these episodes all the time. Hey, we will see you next time.
Yes, sir.